Hi everyone, welcome to the second meeting of Cryptography Club. Today we will talk about ASCII and Unicode, ORD and char, functions, decimal, binary, hexadecimal, and octal, and then we will create program number 2 for practicing using ORD and char. Review for last time's meeting. We installed Python and used idle to create our first program, which involved the print function and the string. The string is basically the part inside the quotation marks that we printed as the message. And then ASCII is the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. It came around in 1968 and only included characters used in English. So it's basically a system where every character is connected to a code point. So the 0 to 31 are the control codes, which we can see over here. So pretend we want to do a start of heading. The code point for it would be 001 in decimal format, and in octal it would be 001. Hexadecimal would be 01. These three numbers all mean the same thing, but they're in different formats. And for control codes, which is 0 to 31, they're mostly used in printers, so we won't need to use it very often. From 32 to 137 are the standard implementation independent characters, so basically the characters used on the keyboard. So we can see space, exclamation mark, quotation point, quotation marks, and numbers and other characters. Starting from 65 is capital letters, so starting from capital letter A all the way to capital letter Z, and we can see that they're all continuous. So A is 65, B is 66, and so on. But we can notice that from capital letter Z to lowercase letter a, it has a gap in between. So inside that gap there are 6 other characters, such as the bracket and the slash. These 6 characters are put in between the capital letters and the lowercase letters to create a clear border between the capital and lowercase letters. And then starting from lowercase letter a, it would be 097 for its code point, and then it would be continuous all the way to lowercase letter z, which is 122. The list continues, so from 128 to 255, they're the non-standard characters, so basically characters from different languages, such as the pound symbol and some characters from French and Spanish. All of the characters have their own code point, so it would be easier to categorize them. And then we can obviously notice that ASCII doesn't include a lot of the characters from other languages or other symbols, so more was added on to the ASCII list, and the new list became Unicode. Unicode is very long, but the first 127 values are the same as ASCII for compatibility. Unicode is constantly being updated with more characters from different languages or different symbols and emojis. We can see a Unicode chart. So we saw that the first 127 is the same as the ASCII, so it was only basic Latin, and there are a lot of other stuff in it now. So we can, if we want to look at the Unified Canadian Aboriginal syllabics, we can go over here. And for this character, it also has its own code point. So the decimal would be 5121, and this is in hexadecimal format, and it would be 1401. These two numbers mean the same thing, just in different formats. And every character has its own name, and it would be in all uppercase letters. So this character, its name is Canadian Syllabics B. And there are a bunch of other characters too. And then pretend we want to look at an emoji. We can go over here. And all the emojis can also be converted into a Unicode. So it can be represented by a code point in numbers. And then the functions ord and char are basically the functions we use in Python to convert a character into its code point or a code point into its character. So ord turns the character into a code point and char turns the code value into its character. For example, ord lowercase a, the a has to be in quotation marks because it's a string. This ord a has a value of 97. So 97 would be the code point for lowercase letter a. And then char 97 would return the lowercase letter a. We can look at example in Python. So over here, ord lowercase a, we give it to the variable x, and then variable y, we let it equal x plus 3. So we know that x is the code point for a, then y would just be the code point plus 3. And then we print x and y, and we also print char x and char y. So char x basically would return this character corresponding to the code point, so it would be lowercase letter a, and then char y would basically be lowercase letter a with a right shift of 3. So it would be b, c, d. So it would be lowercase letter d. And then let's see what this program gives us. Yay. So first we printed x and y. X is 97, which is the code point of lowercase letter a, and then y is x plus 3, so it would be 100. And then we printed the characters of x and y, which is a and d, both lowercase. So a with a right shift of 3 would be d. And then after we looked at the example, we could think, what would the capital letter A with a right shift of 3 be? And what would, which letter would capital letter Y with a right shift of 3 be? It would be easy to figure out because we could just do A and then count 3 more, so B, C, and D. And the letter, capital letter A with a right shift of 3 would be capital letter D. But for capital letter Y, it is a bit more complicated because we know that the alphabet ends in capital letter Z. So it would overflow the set. And we can also see it in the chart. After Y, if we go 3 more, it would be this character. And it wouldn't be one of the letters that we're looking for. There are 2 ways to deal with this situation. So we can first just let it be this character, or if we want it to stay in the capital letter set, we could use the modular operation. So because we know that there are 26 letters in the alphabet, we could find the code point of y, which is 89, plus 3, and then find the mode of it with 26, because there are 26 letters. And then we would get B, because it would be C, A, B. And then, so if we want it to stay in the set, the right shift of 3 for capital letter Y would be capital letter B. The code for this is a bit more complicated, and we'll look at it later, but not in this meeting. And then we saw that for the code points, there were a lot of different formats for it. There were decimal, binary, octal, and hexadecimal. The most common one is decimal, but there's also some different ones. So for the lowercase letter a, the decimal is 97, octal is 141, 141, hexadecimal is 61, and the binary is 11000001. We can see over here that For the octal, it's 141, but in front of it there are two more characters. 0, just represents that the following numbers would be in octal format, and then 0x means hexadecimal, 0b means binary. If there's nothing in front of the number, then it would be decimal. And if we want to convert numbers between the different formats, we could use these functions. Int stands for integer, and it turns into decimal format. bin is binary, oct is octal, hex is hexadecimal. So for example, if we put print bin3, it would print the binary format for the number 3. And we could look at another example in Python. So over here, we gave the code point of lowercase letter a to the variable c, and then d is the converted c into binary format, and then we print binary c, octal 3, octal c, hexadecimal c, and then lastly integer. And then for integer, it's a bit different because there's a comma in here. So before the comma, the d is the variable which we put over here, which is binary c. And then for 2, it represents what the format was originally in. It was binary, so we put a 2 here. So this means that we want to convert d from binary into integer, which is decimal format. And then we can run this code. So we can see that binary c is this, octal c is this, and then hexadecimal c is this. For the integer of d would be 97. So these are all code points for lowercase letter a, just in different formats, and we can always switch between them. Lastly is the activity for this meeting. We are going to create a program number 2 to practice using ORD and char. In this program, I want you to find the code point of capital letter A and find the character for the code point 911, which is in decimal format. So create a code that can figure out the code point of A and the character for code point 911, and then put it in program number 2 channel. Thank you for watching.